was founded based on Christianity. Our DNA is Christian. Our roots are Christian. We aren't Muslim. We aren't atheist. America's the greatest country that's ever existed.
Don't let anyone ever tell you that this country isn't great. That somehow we need to make it great again. Because this right now is the greatest country on earth.
So what happens when you think you're great? Like America thinks it's great, and it repeats it all the time. Let's think of a kid. If a kid thinks he's fantastic, he's great, he's infallible, what happens is that they stop growing, they stop wanting to learn because they already know everything. So that's what's happening with the US, in my opinion. The US keeps on telling itself that it is so great, that everything it does is so fantastic. So as a result, all the citizens are starting to believe it, or have started to believe it, and they've believed it for a long time. Now, what this does is that psychologically people are completely shut from wanting to learn anything else. They're not going to look at Greece and trying to learn something from it, or Japan, or China, or France, or anything, because they're already better. What's the point of listening to somebody or trying to learn something from somebody when you already think you're much better, you know much better in a way? When you're self-righteous, you don't even hear other people's opinions. So that's precisely what's going on with the US. In fact, what we find is that most Americans not only are ignorant about what's going on in the rest of the world, but they also, for example, only speak one language. Most people, except for like Hispanics, most Americans will only speak one language. And still, with that lack of foreign culture, they still think they're better, although they only know one thing. It's like saying you only know one guitar player and you think he's the greatest. Well, in fact, you've never experienced the other guitar players around the world. You also find that a great number of Americans have never even left their local areas. I spent 20 years in the US, and I've known a lot of people that barely left their local area, their neighborhood. And let's say if you're in the East Coast, well, the most you will do on a vacation thing is go to Florida or to North Carolina or something. Most times you will go to Jersey, and that's basically it, like Jersey Shore. So you're not really exposed to other ideas and other vantage points and totally different prisms from which to view the world. You're stuck in a rut, in a routine, in an opinion that resembles that of your neighbor. And so with this kind of framing, you're not likely to realize that you got so much more to learn. And with this mental prepping, which they call priming in psychology, when you've primed your citizenry to think it's already the greatest, and that everybody else around the world wishes they could be like you and wishes they could come to your country and have what you have, which in fact, when you look into it, you don't see that many people from Holland, like the Netherlands, trying to sneak into the US or live there. You don't meet any Swiss or any, I don't know, any Germans that live there, or if any, there's going to be very, very few. So this false idea that you're so great, your country's so wonderful, that everybody's trying to come and take over or at least get a piece of the pie is so untrue. And just look, you don't meet many people from Spain or from Portugal or whatever. So you have people coming over from countries that have less opportunities. But then again, that exists all over the world. If you go to France, you're going to see a lot of people from Africa, from North Africa, from Morocco, where I'm from. You're going to see people from Algeria and things like that. If you go to Spain, you're going to meet a lot of South Americans and so forth. So that is the case everywhere. But to think you're special, that everybody wants to come take over or wants to steal what you have or take your jobs and live this great life that you have, is completely ridiculous. Furthermore, I've had so many people tell me how great the U.S. was, and that everybody else is trying to take over. And I say, okay, fine. What is so great about what you have? What is it that you do have? You, Mr. American or Mrs. American that is talking to me, what do you have? Do you have a great bank account that is provided by your government simply for being American? Do you have great health care that is provided by your country? Do you have any social safety net? When we understand all that, we realize that if you've been told the same message over and over and over, just like a religion, that's your religion is the greatest, whether you're Buddhist or Muslim or Christian, well, you firmly believe that your set of beliefs is the greatest. If you're told your country is the greatest and no matter what, well, of course you will believe it because that's what you're told and that's what your neighbors think and that's what your parents think. So you have to believe it. And even when you go abroad, you fail to see the things that are much better than what you have. So moving on from that topic, we realize that when you are told all these things, that you are the greatest and that everybody's after you, you become easily manipulable, meaning that your government can tell you you have to defend your country, you have to have bigger weapons, you have to have more Navy ships, you have to have bases around the world to protect all that you have. Wars are justified because everybody's after you, and it's a lot of ridiculous things that make you actually dangerous because you're manipulable. Just like when you get into a sect and you're told that your government is after you, then just like David Koresh and his people in the Waco, Texas debacle, once you believe that, you start defending yourself against your government. Well, it's the same thing. If you get into this mindset that you are special and that everybody's after you, well, you're going to want to defend your country and you have to join war and you're told you're a hero, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and thanks to you we have our freedom. Well, how come we don't have these problems in Portugal or Spain or Sweden or Norway? Or how come they don't have to defend anything against anybody? It's something you have to think about. Why do you always have to defend yourself? Why do you feel threatened? If you're so great, so powerful, why are you so afraid? Well, because you were told and repeated via every message on TV by your government, your media and everything, that people are after you. Everybody wants to get into the U.S. Well, I lived in the U.S. Some people will like it, some people would not. I didn't particularly like the mentalities or this belligerent nature, the guns, the cops that oppress the people, the NSA watching everybody. I didn't quite enjoy that kind of lifestyle, and I left. So, and I'm not alone. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. It's a matter of preference. So there are good things in America and there are bad things in America, but you're not special. What makes a country special? It depends on the criterion or the criteria that you're using, okay? Issue of keeping the people scared was very well used by George Bush, Dick Cheney and others, that telling you that there's going to be a mushroom cloud in the middle of New York City. Being scared all the time makes you seek protection and makes you then prone to be manipulated into going to war and into signing up for armies and things like that. So it is really sad that a country that has so much potential is wasting so much of the people's money and resources in wars, when in fact it has so much need for infrastructure. Its people are in such dire needs in so many corners of the country. So this criticism of the country today was hopefully constructive in your minds, and it's not just a criticism for the sake of criticism. It is really a wish to drive the point home that America is on the wrong track, in my opinion. And I see no solution personally, because how deep-rooted the problem is within the system, Congress, Senate, presidential, geopolitical issues. No, people do not want what you have. They do not hate you for the freedoms, supposedly. Well, I'll do another video on the supposed freedoms that Americans think they have and that they uniquely positioned to enjoy. No, people do not hate you for your freedoms or for what you have. They hate you for the bombing campaigns all over the world. The US, as we know, is the only country to ever use a nuclear weapon on civilians, twice. It's the only country in the world. But just to cite the most common and most well-known bombing campaigns and wars, I would cite Vietnam and Iraq, and of course, much later, Libya, Syria, and now the campaign in Yemen via the Saudi government. So that's basically it. People do not hate you for what you have. They hate you for the wars that you are the only country to ever conduct.